Hello, I'm Kim Magdalene. This is Common Sense Parenting, chapter number 4. We're actually going through the book Tackling Life's Challenges, and this is available on Amazon, of course. Glenn Ellison is the author of that book, and you can pick it up there. And I really encourage you to get a copy of that so that you can go through the book with us. We have about 6 or 7 more chapters to go through. And what we're trying to do here is bring the Parent Help Center to homes across America by form of videos here on the internet. We want young children to be affected by this, parents of young children, 5 to 10 years old, so that you don't have to put up with this that's going on the screen here between this gentleman and his son, where they're having a discussion about I don't know who's going to have dinner or who's not going to have. I don't know what they're having a discussion on, but it's not good. Looks like I'm not sure which one's the parent, except for the guy on the right looks older.
Yeah.
So who's the kid here? Anyway, here's Glenn. He's going to be talking for a few minutes. Also, Denver. Glenn's been around and founded this organization 24 years ago, and Denver joined him about 14 years ago with the Parent Help Center since. So let's jump right in, and let me ask a question here about the foundation of family harmony. So we have the first question here, really, that I wanted to ask about the foundation of family harmony. Glenn, if you don't mind, go. What is that supposed to mean? What's a foundation of family harmony?
Well, from the very beginning, we knew that love and affection had to be shown by the parent that has had their heart broken by the one they love with all their heart. And sometimes that is very, very hard. But the bottom line is if this kid doesn't know you love them unconditionally, no matter what he or she does, there's a good chance they're not going to follow this parenting plan that we're going to lay out. You have to be able to look this kid straight in the eye and say, no matter what you do, we're going to love you. But I can promise you there will be consequences for every decision you make. That is the foundation. And we build everything from that point, love and affection.
Yeah, in Denver, we're really not talking about the kind of thing that goes back to decades ago when the rod and the staff they comfort me. Uh, when actually kids were taken to the woodshed and dealt with that way, we can't do that anymore. So that's not what we're talking about here, right?
No, we're talking about our parents setting the example and saying what you mean and meaning what you say. This is our organization give parents a parenting plan to specifically to help put peace back in their home. One of our first rules is that we require no arguing. No one can control anyone, but everyone can control themselves. God has given us all powers, love, and a sound mind to be able to do that. And once you convince a parent or anyone to not engage in a situation like we saw in the picture, the dad is the one that's supposed to have more self control because he is an adult. And as we, as parents, decide that we're going to be the parent, then we're going to do what mature adults do. We're just not going to argue with a child and bring that child up to our level because children are not on parents' level. I know that's countercultural because we've tried to, in society today, they're trying to make the kids the same as parents, and it's just not. But for those parents who are serious about being parents, they're going to set a standard. They're going to set a standard for themselves, and they're going to set the thermostat for the house to make sure that they have harmony and they have peace in that atmosphere. That's one of the things that I do personally, and it's a very intentional act. It's not something that we dream up or think up. It's something we do on a day to day basis because I wanted my children to be in a peaceful home. I've got to be at peace myself. And if I know if I'm not at peace, then my children probably won't be at peace because I'm gonna create chaos and create disharmony in the home. Like the old adage goes, says, "Hurting people hurt other people." So at camp, and I'll finish with this. At camp, we talk a lot about to parents about self care, self preservation. so that they themselves can be taken care of, and then they can go home and parent better. Because when you're not whole and you're not happy, then nobody around you, you tend to create that negative atmosphere and destroy your own family unity. And so Glenn and I talk a lot about this. You know, we as parents, we first got to look at ourselves first. We got to look at our own attitude and how we approach the situations in our home, and how we react and how we respond is going to be a great indicator of how that child will respond and how much peace and harmony you're going to have in that home.
Absolutely. And by the way, this foundation we're talking about, we all know that's the first thing that goes into the grounds. And from that, we build whatever else we want. That foundation has to be as strong as possible. That's why love and affection has to be the foundation. These kids, by the way, the sooner you put your foundation in, the better. The longer you wait, the more difficult it's going to be to convince that kid that you are the adult and they are the child. Also, because we make mistakes, everybody makes mistakes. Don't be afraid in this home to say, I'm sorry. Admit it. But that doesn't mean there's not going to be consequences, even though we make mistakes. When we have clear boundaries and clear consequences, these kids must understand for every decision in life, there's going to be consequences. Now, that's when we start teaching. One of the best things any parent can do is when they are disciplining their child, that kid must understand why they are being disciplined, why they lost their privileges, why they can't do what they wanted to do. Because this is what I know about any home. If you give a kid what he wants and he's been acting out, then why would he ever change? There is no reason for that kid to change. You have to withhold what he wants until you get what you want. And what do you want? You want peace in your home. That's it. Respect, anger management, and peace. We get that, then we got a foundation to start building relationships with.
And we're going to be going over those items too: peace and harmony and anger management, all those things. When you mention discipline, you're just really stating firmness. And
yeah, absolutely. In fact, we're not proponents of corporal punishment. This is what I know about corporal punishment. More than likely, anger is going to come in somewhere. You cannot properly discipline when you're angry. Remember, it's love and affection. So we use a totally different approach. Nothing we do is about punishing a child. It's all about changing the unwanted behavior. Remember, we're talking about young kids, 5 to 10 years of age. So if we start raising up a child in the way they should go, instead of trying to change an adolescent, I can promise you, Mama and Daddy, it's going to be a whole lot easier with the child than it'll ever be with the adolescent. That's a fact.
Yeah, I remember my dad back in the day. Now we're talking about 1950s. Okay, middle of the last century. I remember my dad would, I'd do something wrong, whatever, that deserved a spanking, and he didn't give me the spanking right away. I mean, it drove me nuts. I mean, like a day later, 2 days later, 3 days later, I was the sweetest kid for, 3 days or so. And then he'd walk in there and say, okay, it's time. And I go, oh my gosh. It's like, I'm thinking, well, maybe he'll forget, maybe it was just a passing thought, something like that. But he never forgot. You know what? It really cut down just the idea that discipline was there without anger. He was never angry with me. He always let it simmer, let it calm down. And then he'd give me my 3 swats. And that was the end of the thing. He wasn't angry with me or anything else, but there was a consequence. Well, swats have gone away, but, following through and making sure that there is a consequence and not putting it off. Isn't it true that they're not going to believe you after a while if you just keep threatening?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not what you say, it's what you do consistently. that's going to help change unwanted behavior. You know that old saying, it's going to hurt me more than it hurts you? That's a lie. No. It always hurt. I hated when they said that. But as an adult, I truly understand it now.
Yeah.
If you're parenting properly, no good parent wants to discipline their child. Nobody. But it has to be done, because if that kid doesn't understand, you're going to hold him accountable for every decision he makes that's inappropriate. Only then will he change his behavior. Only then.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to read a little testimonial here. It seems to me that anything that works well, excuse me, should have people who have said something about how well it's worked for them. And here's one of them here. It says, I just wanted to let you know that my relationship with my son is changing. Things are not perfect, but it is so much better than what it was. We've had many good conversations in the past few weeks. A few days ago, I put up a chart. Later, he came to me and said he was upset because he had no input. You know what? He was right. It took about an hour and a half, but we were able to walk through the stubbornness on both our parts. We came up with a list that was acceptable to us both. Last night, he even came in and talked freely about school and teaching styles he liked and other things without a prompt from me. What is happening is truly a miracle and could not have happened without you. We are learning the thorns have roses, and we are both trying for peace in our home. Thank God and thank you. So here's a parent who says through the stubbornness, and she says on both our parts.
Yeah.
On both our parts. So coming to this with the biases of a hard-headed parent who won't accept the responsibility for being a parent and leading that child, isn't that the first step in making sure you have family harmony?
Absolutely. Leading out with how you conduct yourself is exactly what that child is going to do. If you're used to screaming, arguing, yelling, and all that nonsense, I mean, I say nonsense really because it's not going to solve anything. And once we tell a parent, we ask the question at our camp, how far did that get you with the arguing, yelling? Well, it didn't get you anywhere. That's why you're here. And now there has to be a new way and a new day. And so you have to recognize the value in setting the example and modeling the behavior you expect from your child. And that's, after love and affection, that's pretty much next thing you have to do. You have to model everything. And holding that child accountable is telling that child you love them. And often not, we think that, if we're not agreeing with the child's behavior, then we don't love them. It's just the opposite. When you disagree with them and you hold them accountable, that's when they know you love them, because they know you're not afraid to challenge them when they've done wrong. Anybody who goes along with you and can cause you to go downward in a negative way in life, and they're agreeing with what you're doing, you're not stopping them. That tells me you don't love them. And once we put it to the parents that way, it make them realize that, hey, you know what? I love my child. I want them to be better than me. I want them to have the very, very best opportunities. That's always been my marker for myself, for my children to be better than me. And this is why I've been so structured in their lives, and the commonplace for them, an example. And so I've always tried my very best to be a good example. And sometimes I want to do the wrong thing. And I think we all do as adults. We want to, because we have the right to do it. But Paul says like this: all things are lawful unto me, but not all things are expedient. Just because we have the right to do things doesn't mean we should, because our lives are being watched by the most important people in our lives, which is our children.